Hi, this is I Bring It Every Day with Kelly. I'm going to do or show you how to do the Toll House chocolate chip cookies. And I'm just taking it right off of the package. And if you look on the back, it gives you all the instructions and all the ingredients and what you need and how to do it. But I'm just going to show you how I do it. And this has high altitude instructions. But the nice thing is they say there's no artificial colors or flavors, no preservatives, and they're gluten free. I didn't know that. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is you have to cream the 2 sticks of butter with the 2 types of sugar. It's the brown sugar and the white sugar. And I'm doing this all by hand. I don't use a mixer, and I think they taste better by hand, although I've done both. So just my little bias there. But the one thing that I just want to mention too is that you should scrape the butter off of the paper because it does stick. And the key thing is you want it to be room temperature because it mixes and creams much easier. So that's just one little thing I want to make sure that everybody knows. Make sure that it's room temperature. They say that you can defrost it in a microwave, but I don't recommend it. And I'm just going to show you how much you're going to get once you scrape the paper. And it's quite a bit. So what you want to do is you want to break each of the eggs into a container and beat them and make sure that they're mixed very, very well. Because also that makes the cookies a nice texture. So just make sure you beat the eggs before you add it to the rest of the batter. Now what you want to do is you want to measure the flour and you want to sift it. And I'm using a sifter, but you can also use a strainer. But it's a good idea to sift your flour before you add it. And you want to add the salt and the baking powder with that also. But see, right now I'm doing using a sifter. And what you'll find is that at the bottom of the sifter or the strainer, there's usually some particles that are left over. And so sometimes you'll find rocks or things like that. So I always get rid of that. But you always want to remeasure after you sift your flour. And then add it slowly into the wet mixture. So what you want to do is you want to preheat the oven to 375, and that's the temperature that you want to bake the cookies. So what I'm doing here is I'm measuring the 3/4 cup brown sugar that goes into the recipe, and the way you do it is you pack it, and you sort of pack it by hand, but I just want to illustrate that, and that gives you an accurate measurement. And then I'm measuring the 3/4 cup white sugar, and then you also add that into the butter mixture. So once again, you just want to add the brown sugar to the creamed butter. And then once you get that all incorporated, you want to add the white sugar. But you can add either one first. It doesn't matter. But you just want to make sure that you combine it nicely so that you don't have any lumps or bumps or things like that. But that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just illustrating. And I'm just doing this all by hand. And this is the consistency that you see when it's done. It should be pretty close to this. But you just want to make sure everything's combined. So you drop about a teaspoon and separate them out on a cooking sheet and bake it at 375. So what you want to do is let them cool for a few seconds when you first take them out of the oven. And then what you do is you place them on cooling racks. And I have a flat one here, but then I have a two-tiered one behind. And this way you can store a lot. This makes about 5 dozen. So while they're cooling, and then you can put them in a storage unit. So this is a good example of one that's finished. So it looks pretty good, just a little bit brown around the edges and soft to the middle. That's the way I like them.